Hello everyone, I'm Tom Speck, Station Manager at wmpa TV in West Milton, Ohio. This is part of my Watching the Paint Dry series, which you can find on YouTube. It's essentially a collection of small, short videos, just going behind the scenes for WMPA, giving you an idea of some of the stuff that we have to do before we bring you the events. I'm doing this for a variety of reasons. One, I'm in my mid-50s. You know, I got more days behind me than I have ahead of me. If something were to happen, I want something that someone could use to try to piece together how to continue what I've done for the past 39 years. Second of all, again, I'm getting older, a little forgetful. I might forget how to do some of this in a year or two. But thirdly, and the main reason I'm doing this is just sort of educate and let people know what's involved in the whole process. Always looking for volunteers. None of this that I'm showing you is hard. Not a single bit of it is difficult. It is a time investment, and it does take some repetition to get good at it. So for the next few videos, I'm going to go through some setups that I use out in the field, and particularly for sporting events, but it also applies to graduation and some other things I do as well. Now, one thing I've learned over my 39 years here is that you need to have a basic, core, simple system. Because you never know how many volunteers you're going to get. You never know how much space you're going to have. You don't always know what you're walking into. So you need to have some degree of scalability with everything. That's very, very important. I look at other sites for high schools around the country or other access stations, and they either go big or go bust. And then I look at their end product and I'm like, you could have gotten by just keeping it simple, stupid, and saved all that money too. So, you know, the word taxpayer funded, I don't forget that. I bought a few things over my 39 years that I really didn't use like I thought I would. One or two that essentially became a paperweight, but I could count that on one hand. So in one hand in 35 years, fortunately, none of them were outrageously expensive either. That's not a bad track record. On the flip side, the microphones I use for the council meetings, bought them in 1992. Pretty good run. It's not uncommon for me to have equipment that lasts 20, 30 years. I even got a few microphones that predate me that I use a couple times a year. So we try to be good stewards of the taxpayer money, and I think dollar for dollar, what we can produce here on the budget that we have is beyond compare. I'm very proud of what we can do with the limited funds we spend. All right, so on to it. Basic setup 101, all right? Now, you go to a basketball game, a lot of the coaches, players, schools, a lot of times, you know, nowadays they just put a tablet on a tripod and follow it. Somebody might have their phone, out here on the phone, and that works. It's amazing what you can do with the phone these days. It's just unbelievable. And those are fine. A lot of schools now have the little huddle cams, which you probably don't even see unless you're looking for them. And they can also use those to stream out the games and things as well. And they move themselves. A little bit of AI built into them. They do all right. I think they're a generation or two away from being exactly what you want to give you a nice, professional looking type of broadcast, but they're pretty close. It's quite impressive. But here at wmpa, at WMPA, we try to go a little beyond that. Our goal is not to produce a video on a phone, though we do on occasion. Our purpose is to give you a better quality than what the average person could do themselves. And we try to do it in such a way that where it's closer to what the big boys do than what it is to what the average show does without breaking the bank. We don't overreach for equipment. We don't overspend for equipment. If there's a technology or a capability we would really like to incorporate, we don't make that leap and get it just to get it. Over a while, Usually that technology works down to the price point that we find acceptable, and then we snag it. That's the key. Sometimes you got to be patient. I waited 5-6 years to go HD because I knew sooner or later it would become practical. Had I jumped on it early, we would have, spent tens of thousands of dollars. When our conversion ended up costing 20, we would have spent $80,000, $100,000, and probably I had to replace that equipment about the same time frame I got the original anyway. All right. So since we tried to do just a little better than the average Joe, we tend to use some more professional type of cameras. Again, these cameras are a little fancier than what the average off-the-shelf camcorder would be, if you can even find those anymore. But we don't break the bank on them per se either. Now, the one thing we take everywhere we go, unless we're shooting sideline video for a football game, and if you're doing video on a tripod or a tablet, if you don't have something like this, get it. It's a tripod. You have to have a tripod. If you think you can do a sporting event without a tripod, you're killing yourself. If there's one thing you need to improve the quality of your videos, it's a tripod. All right? Now this one is pretty heavy duty. It's probably the most heavy duty we've ever bought. This one is a Manfrotto, which is one of the better and more commonly purchased ones out there. There we go. Simple tripod. Now you can get one that's not as bulky or as heavy or as fancy as this. This tripod can actually handle a camera that's a little bigger than what we use actually. We'll zoom out a little bit. All right, and the next thing, again, this is basic, simple setup. Of course, you need a tripod and a camera. Now, this is a camcorder. This here, let's see, this was made, 2018 or so. So this one's pushing 7 years old probably, 2016, 2018. What this is a Panasonic. It's part of their UX series. This is the UX AG180. It's a camcorder that uses SD cards. It's got a nice lens on it, a light hit lens, and it's honestly the best, by far. This is the best camera that we have ever bought. I mean, I can turn it on auto and anybody could use it. Basically turn it on, start and stop on your thumb button to record. Easy as that. If you want to be able to get in there and adjust the shutter speeds and adjust the color and the irises and the shading, and you get as fancy as you want with this thing too. It will do 4K at 30 frames a second. I don't use it very often. The only reason why is that 4K frame rates are huge compared to HD frame rates, and storing and manipulating and those large files just is problematic with this day and age. That's a lot of data, a lot of hard drives, and you could really eat up a lot of money trying to archive everything. Plus our broadcast out over cable still in SD, unfortunately, and YouTube upload times and all that HD works just fine for most people. So I do pull out 4K on special occasions. If we were having a once in a millennium type of event, I would probably record in 4K. But average event, HD is just fine. So you mount the camera on the tripod. Open up the lens cap. If you don't get a picture, that's probably why. I got numerous audio settings on this. If I'm just doing a simple thing where I'm just there to coverage, I'll just use the microphone on the camera, use the NAT sound, and I'm good to go. If I want to feed in from a sound mixer that they have at the event, I got multiple inputs I can put the audio into. Or if I want to bring my own sound system, I can bring my own audio and then just hook it into this camera if this is where I want to ingest it and record it with the video. So that's it in a nutshell. That's the simple basic setup, a one camera setup. Where I would use this, you know, if I'm recording an event that I don't necessarily want to go live, if I'm recording a speech, something of that sort, I would do this. If I'm preparing video that I'm going to put together a video package, use the edit, actually sit down and edit and clip, and then either make it standalone or include it in another video. This is most likely the setup I would use. So if I'm doing a live event like a sporting event and something of that sort, I'm going to bring a little more gear, and that'll be the next step in the next episode of Watching the Paint Dry. So basic 101, as simple as it gets at WMPA, camera and a tripod. Till next time, have a great day.